In the last session, I have discussed about dairy and dairy farm management. And now in this session, I would like to talk about poultry and poultry farm management. Now, let's see what actually is this poultry. So first, let's look at its definition. It's rearing of domesticated fowl. Okay, so fowls are birds. Okay, and for what purpose we like to rear these birds? Now these are reared for the purpose of to get their eggs and their meat. So the eggs and the meat of these birds is a source of food to human beings, and we are using it from from very since a very long time. Okay, now what are all those fowls or birds which will be included under the right poultry, I mean under the domesticated fowls? So what are all domesticated fowls? First let's see these domesticated fowls. So the domesticated fowls will include chickens, then it includes ducks. So ducks are water birds, right, and then turkeys, and then geese, right, and emus. Emus are larger birds and relatives of these ostriches, right? So chickens, ducks, turkeys, geese, emus, and then even birds like pheasants. So all these we have domesticated, and we are using it for the purpose of eggs and meat for a very long time. Now this word poultry may specifically refer to the meat and the eggs of these the chickens, and ducks, and in some cases we are including the turkeys and geese also, so included in poultry. So but the mostly the chicken and the ducks are the one that are the major source of the eggs and their meat, and in some conditions we are including even these turkeys and geese in the word poultry. Now, right, so here the poultry which includes these different birds. Now from where these birds have actually come from, so they have actually ancestors. Especially I'm talking about these chickens, because chickens and the ducks are the one that we mostly talk about in case of poultry. Now, right, so this domestic fowl is a domestic fowl is a descendant of a jungle fowl. So not only in this case, even in the case of earlier we have seen about a dairy farm, whatever those cows, mean cattle, the buffaloes and all they have ancestors in the jungles. And long back humans started to domesticate them, and in course of time their morphology has changed. And that's what the domestication of course brings about so many changes. Of course we have not completed chapters like evolution, principles of inheritance and variations, which may form the basis for this chapter, the strategies for enhancement in food production. Don't worry about that, we will see in the coming sessions. If you find any difficulty in understanding, especially when I will be discussing about breeding and all, so don't worry about them, we'll talk in detail, and you will be able to understand once you complete the chapters like principles of inheritance and variations. Anyway, okay, so this coming back, domestic fowl is a descendant of a jungle fowl here. Okay, so that's actually a red jungle fowl. So a red jungle fowl whose scientific name is Gallus. So from this, okay, we have domesticated fowls, especially these chickens, whatever that chickens in the rural areas, okay, available. So all they are, of the domesticated. So there are ancestors. The ancestors of them are that red jungle fowl, Gallus. Right. The next one, okay. So this the chicken, right, will account almost 90% of poultry in India. So we use very less, okay, ducks, turkeys. In other countries they may use, okay, more ducks, okay, more turkeys, and so other birds they may use, okay, in a very huge number. But in India, coming to India, so most of our poultry, all it depends on these, okay, chickens. Now let's see types of chicken based on utility. So types of chicken based on utility. So just like how we have classified in, okay, dairy farm, like broad breeds, milk breeds, and okay, dual purpose breeds, here also we classified the chicken based on the utility. So one, they are called broilers. Okay, so broilers are the fowls, right, which are especially developed for, okay, meat. So developed for obtaining meat from them. Okay, right. So you can take these broilers as Gallus domesticus is the one, okay, right, which we are using as a broilers here. The next one we have is layers. So layers are fowls or the birds which we are using it for, okay, producing eggs. So these are developed for, okay, egg production. So they are developed for, okay, egg production. Right. And third one we have is dual purpose birds. Okay, so dual purpose fowls or birds. Now these are the one that are meant for, okay, for both meat as well as egg production. So these are, okay, meant for meat and egg production. So for both, okay, it is useful. So for that purpose we use the word dual purpose birds or fowls. So based on utility we have three categories: broilers that are mostly meant for meat, okay, to obtain meat, and layers are the one that are meant for, okay, egg production, and dual purpose birds are the one that will be used for both the purposes. So they can be, okay, used for eating and also can be used for production of eggs. Right. Now again, just like in the dairy farm, where we have obtained, okay, the animals from outside the country, or they have been already developed, okay, within the country. Based on that we classified them as exotic breeds, okay, or desi breeds or indigenous breeds. Now in the same way in poultry also, okay, we have, okay, different breeds here. First we shall say about those okay, Indian or Desi or right indigenous. So indigenous birds, right. Now so these Indian Desi or indigenous birds are the one that are of Indian origin. So that are of okay, Indian origin. Now let's look at those indigenous birds or Desi birds here. Now one is asil, is a indigenous bird. Okay, I'm just, so this is a asil breed. So here we have different breeds. So this is an asil breed, and then another one like okay, chittagong is another breed, chittagong breed. Okay, and then we have gagas. Okay, so I'm just mentioning here, it's a breed again, so different. And we have like a Kadaknath, right, and then Basra. Okay, and then like Giriraja. Fine, so these are different breeds of chicken here, right. So asil breed, okay, chittagong, gagas, like this we have so many okay varieties here. Okay, so a giriraja here, right. Now these are all Indian or Desi breeds here. At the same time we also have exotic breeds. Okay, now coming to these exotic breeds, we have okay breeds like Rhode Island Red. So this is the one that is from America. So we are growing now here in India. We brought it from okay America, from a place like a place called Rhode Island, and then another one called Plymouth Rock. So this Plymouth Rock is also a American breed. American breed, and is noted for its meat. Okay, so means most of people will be using this bird for okay eating or to get the meat from it. Then another one, New Hampshire, is another bird. Okay, so this is again a breed of, you know, they call America, breed of America, right. And one more I like to give you is a white leghorn. So this white leghorn is a popular layer, okay, all around the world. So we are using this okay for the commercial production of egg, right. So we sometimes in fact believe that the broilers that have been okay brought from this Plymouth Rock, and the layers have been developed from this white okay leghorn. Let's look at poultry farm management. Right, now let's look at the different points under this poultry farm management. Now the first point, selection of breed is important for poultry farming. So what kind of breed you like to choose okay while going for a poultry okay farming. Then once the poultry farm is started, one have to see careful for the signs of infections. Birds have so many variety of diseases, so they can easily get infections. And when you see many birds living at one place, there is a easy chance that if any bird is infected, that infection will spread to all other birds, and it can result in complete death of the other birds, and thereby the farmer will be in loss. Okay, so one have to be careful, understood, that one have to see always and check the signs of these infections. Now if you find any birds with infections or diseases, or if they are not growing properly, so that's what I call unproductive birds. If they are not able to produce proper or enough eggs, and not able to grow properly, then I call them unproductive birds. So those unproductive birds should be weed out, means they should be removed from the flock. And even the sick birds should be removed. So a removal of that unproductive birds and sick birds is a process called culling. Right. Now there must be a good quality and quantity of food should be supplied, and this includes cereals like ragi, wheat, and so on and so there are different combinations available in the market. So and also you can include rice bran, the rice bran that is prepared from the outer layers of the cereal grains. And even you can include fish meal, and this is prepared from the wastes of fish processing industry. So after cutting down the fishes and whatever the wastes they get from them, they are going to prepare this fish meal, and supplying this fish meal is a sign of giving good quality of food. So that actually helps the birds to grow quickly, or produce good quality of eggs or good quality of meat. Then even we have to take care of day old chicks. So taking care and managing day old chicks for a period of 6 to 8 weeks is a process called brooding. The next one, there must be a continuous supply of food, water throughout the day. So here they don't follow a timetable like in case of human beings. We have a breakfast time, we have a lunch time, and we have a dinner time. So they won't follow any such timetables here. So for that purpose, you have to supply the food and water throughout the day, not like these fowls will be having a breakfast time, a lunch, and dinner time. That won't be. Next, and another process called a debeaking. So debeaking is a partial removal of beak. So what actually the birds usually uh, they use this beak for fighting. So you can see here, if you observe the birds, you may find so this is the right beak, right? So there is a pointed structure of this beak which will actually help in I'm sorry, help in fighting. So this portion they must be removed, so that you can make this as a blunt one. So here, so you can see I have removed a small portion with that pointed structure, which actually when fighting can cause a severe injuries to the opposite bird or both together, and that injuries can result in the death of those birds later. So to avoid that, we need to regularly go for this debeaking process, right? And it should be done to prevent this something called picking. So birds have this problem called picking, and they always will be fighting with each other, especially when these birds in the poultry farm will be not having much space between them. So that actually can cause this pecking, right? So debeaking should be done on regular basis. The next one, removal of okay, comb and wattles, and this process we call it dubbing. Okay, so if you look at in the case of a bird, oh, so in case of these chickens, you may find a structure on the top of the head, and this is what we call a comb, and you may find another structure, okay, below its head. So this is what we call, okay, wattle. So it's called, okay, wattle. Now, so these combs and wattles, they have to be cut down, okay, and this process, so because they may interfere with some or other processes, okay, so because of that, usually they will remove these combs and wattles, okay. That process we call it dubbing. And again, we have to go for time to time vaccination, right? The birds should be given vaccinations, right, and these vaccinations will help them, okay, to withstand, okay, or to fight with these different diseases. Already I told there are so many diseases that can attack the birds in the poultry farm, and compulsory vaccination is a very important step, okay, in preventing okay, the birds getting infected with these different diseases. The next one we shall say about poultry farm housing. Okay, poultry housing, which means where we keep these birds and rear them. So we call it poultry housing, and this poultry housing, we have two different types: semi-intensive intensive system and intensive, okay, system. In semi-intensive system, this is almost followed everywhere, even in rural areas also. People who like to keep these fowls, okay, so they may be domesticating the fowls, and they release these fowls or the birds in the daytime, so they go on their own, feed on their own, okay, drink on their own, whatever. So we will be not specifically supplying the food, okay, so they go and feed on their own, okay, and they come back, okay, once it's a day fall, so they come at night back, and in that time they will be keeping them in cages. So if it is the case, okay, if such system is followed, then we have to call it semi intensive system. And coming to this intensive system, right, we have the birds will be reared in cages, and so now we have two different types of that housing, how we raise them in cages. One we call it deep litter system and battery system, right? So if you want to see how that deep litter system and battery system, there are plenty of images available on internet, so just google it, okay, open Google, and then in the search box you type deep litter system. It will show you the images of deep litter system and battery system. Of course, whatever here I'm talking about poultry housing is an extra information, okay, that might help in or for competitive examinations, right? Now in deep litter system, we have 200 to 250 birds are reared in a large room, okay, so only one big, okay, a long large room will be used, and so many birds will be kept in that place, okay, and you call that large room as pen, right? And the floor will be covered by sawdust, okay, and here and there they will be supplied with food and water all the time, okay, round the clock. And this sawdust which will be covering the floor, they will be removing, okay, once in a year. So that's a deep litter system. Now coming to battery system, this is the latest system of poultry farming here, okay, and we call it also as cage system, because each bird will be kept in its own cage, okay, so the birds are confined to individual cages. So this is just a brief idea that how we are going to put the birds in our poultry farm. Now we'll have a brief idea on the nutritive value of egg. So we already know, okay, so egg is a highly nutritive, right? And even for this, the National Egg Coordination Committee of India, the government of India is also promoting that to eat eggs, right? Now the eggs contain around 12 to 13% of proteins. Okay, so it's a very good supplier of the proteins. Then egg white, which is completely almost a protein, it's called albumin, and most common protein what we see is ovalbumin, right? Next, egg contains small amounts of carbohydrates. So mostly it contains proteins and lipids and very small amount of carbohydrates. You can see the okay approximate percentage of the carbohydrates in the eggs. It's only around 0.2 to 0.4 percent is present in the eggs, and the eggs will be having 11 to 12% of lipids, that mostly the yolk is the one that contains these lipids, and the major portion of these lipids will be like phospholipids and even the cholesterol. Okay, so phospholipids are very important. Cholesterol is not actually required by our body, right? Then egg also has a lot of minerals. It is rich in minerals like okay, calcium, potassium, manganese, iron and iodine, okay, etc. are present in okay the eggs. Then it also has vitamins like A, D, B1, B2, and as there is a lot of list. Okay, so the milk and the egg form a very good combination to give you almost many minerals and nutrients which are actually required on daily basis, right? So this is just a brief information on the nutritive value of eggs. I give you a small information on diseases of poultry. Okay, this Rannicate disease, also called Newcastle disease, is actually caused by avian paramyxovirus type 1. Okay, so I told already there are several diseases that can infect these birds. Okay, then they also get disease like salmonellosis, which commonly called fowl typhoid, and caused by a bacterium called Salmonella gallinaриum, right? Of course these how they spread and all we need not require to know, just I itself here I'm just mentioning. Okay, now then fowl pox is caused by AV pox virus. Okay, right, so these are some common diseases that you will find in case of poultry. Next, I like to discuss about breeding, right? So now breeding is actually okay a process of producing offspring by crossing male and female animals. So we use it in case the breeding is a word that we will be doing in animals as well as plants. So for what purpose? So usually these female and male plants or animals, okay, that have some good characters. Okay, so we want those characters, some may be present in male, some will be present in female. So we want those characters present in both the parents should be present in okay their offspring, so which indicates that offspring are okay much better when coming when compared with their parents. Okay, in terms of the quality and so our okay we will be choosing that which male and which female plant or animal, and that will actually help in producing better offspring. So the offspring will have better qualities when compared with both the parents here. Okay, right, now we'll see first animal breeding. So later we'll move on to even plant breeding also, we'll see in detail. First we'll look at animal breeding. Now what is the purpose of doing this breeding? So that's objectives of animal breeding. So for what purpose we like to do this breeding? Okay, now we do this animal breeding to get improved, okay, growth rate. So here, like we'll take an example of that poultry farm. So the person, I mean the farmer, likes to get the yield as early as possible. So he wants those birds to grow very quickly. So now we are doing, okay, a lot of research, and okay, even we are applying these breeding principles and trying to get the birds so that they grow very quickly, okay, I mean with very less time. Now, so that's what one objective of this animal breeding is, to get improved growth rate at a, okay, faster and also the bigger. The next one, right, even to increase the production of, okay, milk. In case of dairy farm, right, we do this breeding process to produce offspring that can produce a very good quality and quantity of milk, okay, and even meat, okay, and eggs, right, uh, and even we use it for the production of wool, etc. Okay, we'll see about those things, right? So another objective of animal breeding is to increase the production of milk, okay, meat, eggs, wool, etc. and so. Then we like to develop improved varieties. So improved varieties of animals or plants that are capable of resisting diseases. So improved varieties that resist diseases. Okay, right. So there are naturally there will be some, okay, plants or animals that have capability to resist the diseases, right? So if it is present in one plant, okay, but the plant is, or the plant or that animal gives very poor yield, but it is resistant to disease, so then it is no of use. So we want a plant or animal that should be resistant to disease and give a very good yield. So different good qualities, if we gather and keep it in one animal or a plant, so that will be a best breed. Okay, for that purpose, to get the best breed, okay, we do these processes, right? So improved varieties that resist, right, diseases. Then increased, okay, right, so productive life, to increase, I mention, to increase, okay, productivity or productive life, means how long it lives, so it gives a very good yield. So to increase the productive life, that is one point here. And also like reduced, okay, inter calving period. Okay, so calf is a newborn, right, in the case of the buffaloes or cows. Now once it gives birth to a calf, it will take some time, and again later slowly start to reproduce. Now between, okay, one pregnancy and another pregnancy, if you are able to reduce the time with a short period of okay, time, you will be capable of producing large number of okay, herd. I mean, it may be in the case of sheep, it may be in the case of okay, cows, buffaloes, and so on and so, right? So it's a reduced intercalving period. So like this, we have so many points that we get